you may be destroying your own reputation without even realizing it. There are habits that seem harmless, almost invisible, but slowly corrode the respect people have for you. And worse, you may be repeating these patterns every day without knowing the damage they're causing in your personal and professional life. This text presents the 4 toxic habits that are silently sabotaging your image. If you want to be taken seriously, respected, remembered, you need to know and eliminate each of them. When respect disappears, it's rarely by accident. It's the result of small actions or omissions that, over time, build up a silent cost. The philosophy of Stoicism helps you see these patterns clearly. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius warned, "Care more about what you do than about what others say." Seneca said that the greatest sign of wisdom is the ability to observe yourself honestly. That is the work to be done here, looking inward, without masks, without excuses, identifying 4 habits that seem small, but have the power to corrode your image and, even worse, your self-confidence. Before we begin, I'm going to ask you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot and costs you nothing. Let's go. Habit 1. Gossip. The silent poison of relationships. The first attitude that destroys respect is perhaps the most common and the most underestimated. Gossip. Gossip seems harmless, almost like hallway talk, a social bond, an innocent distraction in the middle of the day. But here's the raw truth. Whoever talks about others with you also talks about you to others. When someone gets involved in this game, even without malicious intent, they send a powerful negative message. I am not trustworthy. I don't know how to keep secrets. I feed on other people's downfall. In environments where gossip seems to be part of the natural atmosphere, conversations revolve around other people's lives, functioning almost like a collective pastime, analyzing who was with whom, laughing at personal choices, speculating about situation. Stories like this leave deep marks. An intimate detail that gets spread can turn into a joke, and the person who is exposed silently pulls away. The way this affects everyone who witnesses it reveals a fundamental truth. Gossip is never just casual talk. It always leaves a scar on someone. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, warned about this. If something doesn't concern you, don't say it, don't listen to it, don't repeat it. Gossip diminishes you and the people around you. Even if they remain silent, they begin to wonder, does this person say the same things about so-and-so? What do they say about me? Is this really someone worthy of respect? It all starts with a daily choice, not passing along anything that doesn't build up, choosing conversations that elevate, that inspire, that analyze ideas, not people. As an old proverb says, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, great minds discuss ideas. Every day, choose which kind of mind you want to belong to. Habit 2. Being unreliable. When your word loses its value, the second habit that corrodes people's respect for you, perhaps faster than any other, is unreliability. We live in a time when everyone makes promises, but few follow through. People promise to show up, promise to help, promise to change. But when the time comes, excuses appear, distractions show up, silence takes over. And here's a hard truth. When your word loses its value, you lose value along with it. There was a time when many people believed that being flexible and spontaneous was a virtue. Plans were made and then canceled. You'd say, "I'll definitely be there," and on the day of the event you'd decide to do something else, until certain episodes revealed what that really meant to the people who were counting on you. A common situation: a close friend spends weeks preparing a birthday party. They plan everything with care. Guest list, decorations, special details. Of course, you say you'll be there, that you wouldn't miss it for the world, but on the day of the party you get caught up in something else. By the time you notice, the party has already started. You send a rushed message trying to justify yourself and receive a polite but cold reply. In that moment, it wasn't just an event you missed. You lost a piece of that person's trust. The relationship cooled because it became clear that your words didn't mean much. The Stoics saw the honor of one's word as one of the pillars of virtue. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more valuable than the commitment of an upright man, his promise and his contract." Reliability is not built with pretty promises. It's built with small, consistent actions. Showing up on time, responding as agreed, meeting deadlines, being transparent about your limits, and above all, being honest with yourself. If you can't do something, don't promise it. If something unexpected happens, communicate with respect and in advance. People don't expect perfection, they expect consistency. In the professional world, being unreliable can be devastating. You might be talented, intelligent, even charismatic, but if you don't do what you say you will, over time you'll be excluded from the more serious opportunities. Because in the end, respect is born from trust, and trust is born from repeated integrity, even in the details. Habit 3. Interrupting others. When anxiety speaks louder. Sometimes you don't lose people's respect because of big mistakes, but because of small gestures that repeat themselves unnoticed. One of the most subtle and damaging is interrupting others while they speak. It seems trivial after all, who has never done that? Sometimes you think you're just participating in the conversation, being dynamic, contributing. But interrupting carries a far heavier message than it seems. Because when you interrupt, even unintentionally, you send an unconscious message. What I have to say is more important than what you're saying right now. That message, repeated over time, erodes respect. Early in my career, I was often anxious, full of ideas, eager to prove myself in meetings. I could hardly wait for someone to finish a sentence. If I disagreed, I'd interrupt. If I had a suggestion, I'd interrupt. If I thought I could add something, there I was again, cutting in, breaking the other person's train of thought. Until one day, a superior, calm but firm, called me in for a conversation. The message they delivered was clear and unforgettable. You're always ready to talk, but rarely ready to listen. Those words cut deep because they were true. I wasn't really listening. I was just waiting for my turn to speak. And that has a name: egocentrism, disguised as enthusiasm. The Stoics valued listening as a form of wisdom. Epictetus, who began life as a slave and became one of the greatest philosophers of antiquity, taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more and speak less." From that realization onward, I began practicing what I call intentional listening. When I felt the urge to interrupt, I'd take a deep breath and ask myself, does this really need to be said right now, or can I wait with humility and listen to the end? That simple change of attitude completely transformed the way people saw me. I became someone more respected, more trustworthy, more balanced. Because truly listening is a sign of strength, not passivity. If you want to earn respect, practice intentional silence. Listen attentively. Let the other person finish. Because when you learn to listen with presence, you don't just understand more, you strengthen bonds and earn something rare these days: genuine consideration. Habit 4. Complaining excessively when negativity becomes identity. Everyone has complained about traffic, work, the weather. Complaining seems like a release valve, a nearly therapeutic outburst. But when complaining turns into a habit, it stops being relief and becomes a burden. And worse, a burden that spreads. Constant complaining reshapes the environment around you. People begin to distance themselves without quite knowing why. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's because being around someone who is always pointing out what's wrong without taking action is draining. There was a time in my life when everything was a reason to complain. If it rained, I complained. If it was hot, I complained. If someone made a mistake, I would dwell on it for days, until a friend with courage and sincerity said, "It feels like nothing is ever good enough for you. Have you noticed that?" In the moment I got defensive, but those words echoed for days, and they hurt because they were true. I'd grown comfortable in the role of victim, and the problem with living as a victim is that you give up your role as the protagonist of your own life. The Stoics teach something fundamental. Don't complain about reality. Transform what is within your reach. Accept with serenity what is not. That's the essence of Stoicism. The rain won't stop just because you complain about it. The traffic won't move faster because you're sighing behind the wheel. But your attitude, that can change everything. From the moment I started observing myself and replacing complaint with action or acceptance, everything changed. If the environment was bad, I left. If something went wrong, I tried to learn. If there was no solution, I took a deep breath and moved on. That doesn't turn you into a naive optimist. It makes you lighter, and the people around you start to notice. To know if you're stuck in this cycle, reflect. Do you talk more about problems or solutions? Do your conversations energize or drain people? Are you more used to giving thanks or complaining by habit? The mind works like a radar. It finds what it's trained to look for. If you feed a negative outlook, the world looks like chaos. If you train a constructive outlook, you find opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. Respect is also born from the kind of energy you carry. And no one respects someone who is always drowning in complaints. So from today on, every time you feel like complaining, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, act. If not, accept it. That simple question, if used with discipline, can free your mind and your energy. Congratulations on making it this far. That shows a willingness to do the hardest work of all, looking within. Because earning other people's respect starts with something deeper: respecting yourself. We've gone through the 4 habits that silently sabotage your image. Gossip destroys the trust others place in you. Being unreliable erodes the value of your word. Interrupting reveals ego and impatience. Excessive complaining pushes people away and traps you in negativity. The good news is that all these habits can be replaced with Stoic discipline, with active listening, with integrity, and with conscious action. As a great philosopher once said, the best way to earn respect is to be different from the majority. to be someone who inspires trust, calm, and presence. If you take one step a day, one habit at a time, you'll notice a subtle but powerful change in the way the world responds to you. Remember, you are the only one responsible for the energy you bring into the world. Bring what builds up, leave the rest behind. Thank you for watching. Since you made it to the end, please comment Armored Wisdom. I'll leave 2 video suggestions here that you might enjoy. See you soon.